There are seasons when the heavens grow still. Prayers leave our lips, full of longing, but no answer comes riding back on the wind. In the quiet, a soul can begin to ache, wondering if God has turned his face away, wondering why the ones who wounded us walk freely, while we sit in the ruins they left behind. It is a holy sorrow, the kind that aches without words. But you, dear soul, are not abandoned. The silence is not God's rejection. It is his mercy covering you like the soft shadow of his wings. It is his hand holding back storms you were never meant to weather, enemies you were never meant to fight alone. You are being shielded even when you cannot see the shield. You are being rescued in ways you may not understand yet. In today's reflection, we will walk slowly through this mystery, uncovering why God's silence after betrayal is not a delay, but a greater protection. You will see how the very absence you feared was the answer you needed. You will hear the still, small voice that has been speaking in ways beyond sound. You will feel the deep love of a father who will not let you fall into the snares set before you. Take a breath here. Lay down every anxious thought. There is no striving in his presence, only a gentle unfolding of truth in his perfect time, by his faithful hand. The story is not over. The silence is not the end. You are being kept safe in ways more powerful than you know. Let your heart lean in and listen closely. What seems like silence is singing over you even now. Betrayal leaves the soul in pieces, not loud, shattered fragments, but quiet ones, the kind that fall silently, without anyone noticing. A word spoken behind your back, a promise broken when you needed it most, a mask removed, revealing not love but control. When this kind of wound cuts deep, the world slows down. Even prayer becomes a whisper, half-formed. Even God seems quiet. But the silence after betrayal is not empty. It is sacred. It is a hush that falls when heaven leans close to protect what is tender and torn. When Judas left the table, Jesus did not raise his voice. He did not chase. He did not plead. The night grew still, and in that stillness, Christ turned inward to the Father. He withdrew. He prayed. He walked into the garden, not to explain himself, but to entrust his pain to the one who sees all things. This is the mystery of divine silence. It often comes after betrayal because it is not meant to leave us exposed. It is meant to hide us. A sacred line is drawn. The voice of the betrayer fades. The noise quiets, and what remains is God, guarding the soul he loves. The Lord will fight for you, not with loud displays, not with grand vengeance, but with stillness, with silence, with the kind of power that does not need to announce itself. You only need to be still. When God is silent after betrayal, it may feel like absence, but it is presence, wrapped in quiet. He stands between you and the wound, between you and the one who caused it. He is building a wall around your spirit that no deception can enter. He is separating you, not to isolate, but to protect. There is healing in this silence, though it comes slowly. It teaches you not to chase what harmed you, not to reopen doors that God has closed. It teaches you to stop searching for closure in people who were never capable of offering it. In this quiet, God becomes the only voice that matters. And slowly, gently, the betrayal loses its power. The sting fades, not because the wound wasn't deep, but because God has covered it with something deeper, his peace. You are not alone in the silence. You are held, hidden, guarded. This stillness is holy. Some doors do not close with a slam. They close quietly, almost without sound. One day, the words that used to flow become strained. The meetings grow fewer. The warmth you once fought so hard to keep begins to flicker and fade. You reach out, hoping to mend what is unraveling, but the hand you seek does not reach back. The silence feels sharp, the distance feels like punishment, and the heart aches for restoration that will not come. But this drying up is not cruelty, it is mercy. It is God sealing the door that once swung wide, the door that led you into places your soul was never meant to stay. There are prisons built not with iron bars but with manipulation, false affection, and the slow erosion of who you are. When you could not see the bars yourself, God in his mercy began to close the way. He dried up the conversation. He loosened the ties. He let the bond grow brittle and break. This is a hard mercy, but it is mercy still. He brought them out of darkness and the deepest gloom and broke away their chains. Chains you did not even know you wore. Chains of needing to be enough for someone who could never be satisfied. Chains of hoping for change that would never come. Chains of blaming yourself for the coldness in another's heart. The door's closing is not a punishment, it is a rescue. It is the Spirit saying, "This far and no further. You have carried this burden long enough." It is the loving hand of the Father, pulling you out of the darkness you thought was home. At first, the empty space where relationship once lived feels unbearable. The mind tries to explain it, fix it, reframe it. But slowly, as the days pass, you begin to breathe again. You begin to hear your own voice again. Not the voice shaped by fear, but the voice formed by truth. You begin to see that love was never meant to be something you had to beg for. It was meant to be given freely, without strings, without games. The door that closed was not slammed in anger. It was shut in tenderness. It was sealed by a God who refused to let you stay chained one moment longer. He who calls you out of darkness is faithful. He who breaks your chains also heals your soul. Even now, new doors are being prepared, ones that open not into captivity, but into freedom. And the hand that closes one door will open another in his perfect time. There is a restlessness that does not come from anger or impatience. It rises gently, like mist from the ground, quiet but steady. You sat across from them, smiling when it hurt, offering kindness when it cost everything inside you. You forgave, again and again. You folded your hands and prayed harder, asking for strength to love better, to be patient longer, to believe for change. But somewhere deep, under every effort, an ache remained, a quiet, holy ache that would not be silenced. This restlessness was not rebellion. It was not bitterness growing in secret. It was the Spirit, breathing a message you were not yet ready to say out loud. There is no peace here. Come away with me. No matter how much you tried to mend it, the threads kept breaking. No matter how much you tried to fill the emptiness between you, it stayed hollow. Not because you lacked faith or love or patience, but because God was gently pulling you away from a place where your soul could not thrive. My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me. Not all leadings are loud. Some are soft as breath, as instinct. The Spirit stirred, not to punish you but to protect you. It whispered when logic told you to stay. It nudged when loyalty urged you to hold on longer. In the restlessness, God was teaching you to listen not with ears alone, but with your heart, to recognize His voice when it calls you out of spaces that no longer carry His blessing. Sometimes love means staying. Sometimes love means trusting enough to leave. It is not easy to walk away when the world says endurance is always the holiest path. But there are places where staying becomes a slow dying, where peace has long since packed its bags and left. And in those places God's call grows tender and firm. Follow me. Leave what cannot love you back. Come into the wide spaces I have prepared for you. The ache you felt was not weakness. It was the first sound of your spirit waking up. It was the first step toward freedom you could not yet see. You were being called out of striving and into stillness, out of fear and into the quiet green pastures, where souls heal and breathe again. He knows His sheep, and even in the smallest stirrings, He leads them home. There was a time when the memories burned like fire. Every word spoken against you played over and over in your mind, each one cutting deeper with every reap. You tried to lay them down, but they rose again like storms on a restless sea. At night they visited without invitation. In the quiet hours, they echoed louder than any comfort you could find. The pain stayed close, a shadow stitched to every thought. But healing does not always come loud. It often begins in secret, like rain softening the hardest ground. Slowly, almost without noticing, the memories lose their sting. The words that once pierced your spirit now pass over you like distant thunder. They no longer demand your full attention. They no longer shape your work. They are still there, but they no longer have power to wound you. This is not forgetting. It is not pretending the hurt never happened. It is God Himself tending your broken heart, washing the wounds others left behind. It is His mercy at work, binding up what you thought would always bleed. He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds, not once, not hurriedly, but tenderly, over time, like a careful physician who refuses to leave a scar untreated. He touches what was shattered, and He makes it whole again, though the world sees no bandages, no signs of the battle that once raged within you. There comes a day when the memory visits, but it no longer commands your tears. A day when you can think of the past without folding into sorrow. A day when you can bless what God used for your growth, even if you never bless the hurt itself. It is a holy moment, when pain gives way to peace, not because the past changed, but because you have been changed by the hand of the healer. This slow unwinding is a miracle. It is the evidence that God has been near all along, doing His deepest work in the unseen places of your soul. What once defined you no longer holds you. What once named you broken now bears witness that you are beloved. The wounds are bound. The heart once crushed begins to beat freely again, not because the story was erased, but because the author himself rewrote the ending with his own hand. Loneliness can arrive like an unwelcome guest. It settles in the quiet corners of the day, in the spaces where laughter used to live, in the hours that once felt full but now stretch long and hollow. You miss what you thought you had. You miss the comfort, the company, even the illusions that once gave you something to hold. The ache is real, deep as a well, wide as the empty places left behind. But as the loneliness lingers, something unexpected begins to bloom within it. The ache softens into stillness. The stillness begins to feel less like punishment, and more like a gentle clearing of the heart. In the silence where no other voice answers, you begin to hear the one voice that never left, the voice that does not flatter or wound, does not deceive or demand, but simply says, "I am enough for you." In the loneliness, God meets you not as a distant comfort, but as the very breath filling your lungs, not as a shadow at the edges, but as the steady hand holding you upright when everything else falls away. He does not rush the ache away. He sits with you in it, and by His presence makes it whole. Be still, and know that I am God, not busy, not distracted, not surrounded by many voices, still, silent enough to hear the truth that was always waiting beneath the noise. There is a solitude that does not destroy, but restores. It strips away the false comfort. It removes the crutches and the counterfeits. It leaves only what cannot be shaken, the love of God, steady and sure, beneath every loss. You begin to see that you are not abandoned, but chosen, not forgotten, but protected, not punished but invited, into the sacred company of the one who never leaves or forsakes his own. In this holy loneliness, you are being made whole. You are being taught how to be filled by presence alone. You are learning to find joy, not in the many but in the one. And in time, what once felt like a wilderness will become a sanctuary, where your soul knows how to drink deeply of living water without fear of drought. The loneliness will not last forever, but the holiness it births within you will never be taken away. There was a time when their words carried the weight of a hammer. One look, one phrase, could crumble your spirit and leave you questioning your own worth. They spoke with such certainty, such sharpness, that it felt easier to believe their voice than to trust your own. You carried their accusations like chains, letting their opinions build the walls around you. Every conversation felt like a battlefield, where you always lost, no matter how gently you fought back. But grace moves in ways that are often. God does not always tear down the lies in a single moment. He unweaves them, one by one, strand by strand, until the whole web falls powerless at your feet. The words that once pierced so deeply now float past you, hollow and harmless. The voice that once filled the room now echoes weakly, like footsteps fading down an empty hall. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Truth does not shout. It does not bully or demand.
It speaks with a quiet strength, a steady light that reveals what was hidden in shadow. And as that light grows inside you, the lies lose their grip. You begin to see clearly where manipulation once blurred your vision. You begin to hear the Father's voice, louder than the voice of the one who tried to shape your identity for their own gain. God shows you that you are not what they said you were. You are not the names they called you. You are not the weakness they preyed upon. You are beloved. You are chosen. You are free. Freedom does not always come with a shout. Often it comes with a soft, steady courage rising in your chest, a holy indifference to the words that once ruled you, a quiet knowing that you do not belong to them, or to their approval, or to their rejection. You belong to the one who speaks life and calls you his own. And so the narcissist's words fall away, powerless and small, not because they changed, but because you have been changed by the spirit of truth. What once crushed you now brushes past you like a breeze. What once named you now fades into silence. The God who began this work will be faithful to complete it. Every chain broken, every lie silent, until only truth remains, and you stand free, strong and unshaken in his love. There is a certain heaviness that comes from needing to be understood, a quiet desperation to be seen rightly, to be heard without distortion, to be known beyond the broken mirror someone else holds up to you. You try to explain, to prove your heart, to defend what you know is true inside, but the more you reach for their approval, the more it slips through your fingers, and the emptier you feel. Then gently, something begins to change, not all at once, but like leaves loosening from the trees when autumn winds begin to stir. The need to be validated, to be praised, to be accepted by the one who refused to see you. It falls away, one by one. The old urgencies let go, one by one the burdens drop from your shoulders. It is a hidden mercy, a silent gift from the heart of God. He is showing you that you were never meant to live shackled to another's approval. You were never meant to find your worth in human eyes clouded by pride, by selfishness, by blindness. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior, who saves. He will take great delight in you, not because you perform, not because you prove, not because you bend yourself into shape small enough to fit inside someone else's limited love, but simply because you are his, fully known, fully loved, fully delighted in. When you no longer seek their validation, a new freedom breathes into your soul. You begin to see yourself through the gaze of heaven, steady, unwavering, filled with gentleness. You find a quiet strength rising in the places where anxiety once lived. You no longer explain yourself to those determined not to understand. You no longer pour your heart into hands that only drop it. You stand, quietly and surely, in the truth of who you are. Loved without condition, held without fear, celebrated by the only eyes that truly matter. And in that holy release, you are not made smaller, you are made whole, no longer chasing words that were never meant to define you, no longer trapped in the endless hunger for validation that was never yours to carry. You are free to walk away in peace, free to be known by the one who has never misunderstood you, even for a moment, and under his gaze. You are enough, you always were. Gratitude does not always grow in sunlight. Sometimes it blooms in broken places, where nothing good seemed possible before. You stand among the ruins, the shattered hopes, the unanswered prayers, the doors that closed without warning, and slowly, something sacred stirs within you. Not anger, not regret, but thanksgiving. You begin to thank God for the silence that once terrified you. You begin to bless him for the prayers that seemed to fall unanswered at his feet. Not because you love pain, not because the loss didn't wound you, but because you see now what you could not see then. The silence was not a cruelty, it was a shield, a mercy, dressed in mystery, hidden in shadows to keep you safe from a devastation too deep for your heart to bear. He said no because he loved you. He withheld because he was sparing you. He closed the way because the road ahead held dangers. And you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. The enemies stood near. Their intentions were real, But God set a feast in front of you anyway, a declaration that even in the midst of opposition, you would not be overcome. He anointed you with honor when others tried to strip you of dignity. He filled your cup when others tried to empty you. Gratitude in the ruins is a quiet miracle. It is the kind of miracle that cannot be forced or faked. It rises naturally when the heart has seen the faithfulness of God in the very places where faith seemed to fail. You realize that the things you lost were not the things you needed to survive. You realize that even in your lowest valley, goodness and mercy followed you, close enough to tell. The ruins remain, but they no longer speak of defeat. They are altars now, places where you saw God's hand more clearly than anywhere else. Each broken stone a testament to a love that would not let you settle for less than freedom. And as gratitude grows, peace comes with it. Not the peace that demands everything to be perfect, but the peace that rests in the perfect goodness of God. He was always for you, even in the silence, even in the sorrow, even in the unanswered prayer.